Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm actually going to be answering some of the top 10 most common questions I get from either prospective clients or people that are just getting back into the gym. I'm sure you've heard some of these questions before, but I'm going to give you my candid answers as a fitness professional that's been working with people in the gym for 10 plus years hands-on. And some of my answers might surprise you. They might not be what you'd normally hear on the internet. I'm actually going to have my videographer Braden behind the camera there asking me some of these questions. They're not in any particular order, but I want to give you guys my candid, real answers. So without further ado and without wasting too much time, let's just get straight into the questions.
One of the common things that people ask is like, how often should I work out when I'm trying to get back into working out?
For sure. Yeah, super common question. How many days a week should I work out, or how often should I work out? And this obviously, as most of these answers will be, is going to be a bit nuanced. But what I try to push people towards is 4 days a week in the gym being ideal as something that you can do on a regular basis, but also do if you have a busy week and also do into the future and beyond, right? What I will say though is if you're brand new to the gym, you're just getting back into it, I tend to start people small. So start with a goal of going twice a week, and maybe build to 3 times a week, 4 times a week. And it really also depends on your goals, right? If you have the goal of doing bodybuilding, or maybe you're doing more of a competitive sport, you may actually want to train more frequently, that being 5 or 6 days a week. What I do tend to push most regular people towards though is 4 days a week in the gym, probably doing some cardiovascular bouts outside of that as well, whether that's hiking or biking or some other sort of activity on the weekend, that maybe you play rec sports. That is a pretty recoverable and manageable workout load to do on a regular basis for a long time and into the future, especially because the biggest thing is we're building a lifestyle around fitness. We're building a routine. Most people can't usually actually make it to the gym 7 days a week or 6 days a week just due to their lifestyle and what they have going on, but most people can definitely do 4, and 4 is definitely where you're going to see a lot of really good results in terms of muscle gain, strength gain, as well as just fat loss. So that would be my recommendation in terms of how many days a week should you shoot for. I would say shoot for 4. If you have more lofty goals or something specific, it might be 5 or 6, but 3 or 4 is totally fine as well.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. But if they're starting out, they're getting back to the gym, how long should each workout kind of be then?
Yeah, length of workout. Okay, so for length of workout, once again, it's going to be very dependent on the person's schedule and actually what their day looks like, how much availability they have to be at the gym or go to the gym, and as well as what their goals are. Most people, I would say you should shoot for about an hour to 90 minutes. So 60 to 90 minutes is pretty standard, but I do have some really busy clients that do only 30 to 45 minute workouts, and they're really strict on their rest times. They're really strict on just getting everything done in a very succinct amount of time using supersets, and it works really, really well. If you're doing something like strength sports, so you're doing powerlifting or strongman, the rest periods are going to be a lot longer, and you might actually have to have upwards of a 2-hour workout. So once again, a little bit nuanced in terms of how long should they be. Well, depends on your goals, depends on how much time you have. I would say for the regular everyday person, 60 minutes, 1 hour is plenty of time. 45 minutes if you need to cut it a little bit shorter, and that's going to be plenty of time to get in a good weightlifting session. If you have the time, I would say 90 minutes is even better, because you can probably do a more thorough warm-up, maybe a bit of a cool down, maybe some cardiovascular work, but 60 minutes is definitely more than enough to get a really solid workout in.
For the people though that are, get more time conscious, they're busy, there's obviously also like the going to the gym, coming back from the gym that they have to consider as well, this warm-up time, whatever else. So there's I guess a lot of people ask, like, do they need to go to a gym, or can they work out at home?
For sure. Yeah, actually this is a very common question of, do I need to have a gym membership? Can I work out at home? And 100% you can work out at home, right? There's no reason why you can't make progress at home. There's tons of examples of people doing calisthenics, people getting super fit in non-ideal situations. It really comes down to how much of a priority is it for you to get fit, and how creative are you willing to get, right? I'll give you an example. Personally, during the pandemic, I only had basically 2 20-kilogram kilogram kettlebells that are about 44 pounds each, and like one rubber band. That's all I had. And I was able to stay very fit, very healthy, actually keep my muscle mass on my body. I was also doing things like running, tons of push-ups. I was going to the park doing pull-ups off of, the soccer goalposts, etc. So there's definitely always something you can do in terms of getting fit. Fitness doesn't have to have this massive price tag where you're going to like an Equinox or paying a huge amount of money. But obviously having, a blueprint and a coach helps a ton. But there's no reason why you can't get fit with just going to a home gym or having minimal equipment. You might just be more limited on progressing yourself farther, right? Because in a regular gym, I firmly believe that the gym is still the best place to make progress because you have so much access to equipment, heavier weights, you have other people around you that are working on their own fitness, and it's encouraging to see, and it's a community. But at the end of the day, you just have to get more creative if you're going to do it on your own, and do it at home. But there's no reason you can't do home workouts or build a home gym and be just as successful.
Right, and so whether I'm going to the gym or I'm a person that's working out from home, what how many sets and reps should I be doing?
Yeah, sets and reps. Classic argument, classic question. Once again, there's a lot of nuance around sets and reps. Once again, it's goal dependent. The way that I really kind of break this down for a lot of people is that, in the beginning when you're just getting back into the gym, you want a little bit more volume, right? You want more repetitions because you want to get better at those specific movements and those movement patterns. If we break human movement down, we really have 6 or 7 main movement patterns. Those are pushing, pulling, lunging, hinging, squatting, carrying, and rotating, and or any movement can be a combination of those as well. So when I'm looking at somebody in the beginning, I'm like, how can we make each of these movement patterns better and better quality? Usually that's through more repetition, as well as if we look at a lot of the literature around hypertrophy, between 6 to 15 rep ranges is kind of what's seen there, and a lot of people want to build muscle mass. And I think for anybody that's newer, doing lighter weights for higher repetitions is going to allow them to learn the movements better. It's also going to allow them to build a good amount of muscle. For more advanced trainees, I am actually, for myself, I prefer to use a rep range of about 6 to 10 reps for hypertrophy. But once again, that's muscle dependent because some muscles of the body actually respond differently to different amounts of volume and different amounts of sets. So there's no real laws around you need to do this many sets and reps. I would say the governing law of the gym is, are you working harder than you were last week? Are you progressing yourself either through the amount of reps that you're doing, the amount of weight that you're lifting? Does the quality of your repetitions look better? That's also a way that you can look at it, is qualitative progress, right? Maybe you're doing the same weight, but they look better. They look really, really clean. That's still going to be progress in terms of repetitions. So, from a more basic standpoint though, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, anywhere from 6 to 15 reps is going to be more of that hypertrophy or muscle growth range. Above 15 reps, you're looking at endurance-based training. And then in that 1 to 5 rep range, 1 to 6 rep range, you're looking at strength and power output. And if you want to break it down, basically that's what we're looking at in terms of reps. In terms of sets, I would say that usually it's most normal to do anywhere from 2 to 4 sets. And if someone's trying to gain muscle, it's usually they're doing multiple sets because they want to achieve muscular failure, in which case, 3 sets is usually totally fine. If you're doing strength conditioning work, I've done up to 10 sets of 2 or 3 reps on a really heavy weight. Once again, it's just the reason that you do more sets is because you want to do more volume. But there is a point at which you're doing too much volume and the volume might not actually be beneficial to what you're doing. So there is a bit of a science there, but at the end of the day, if you're sticking to kind of that 2-3 sets, maybe 4 at the maximum, you're probably going to be in the right zone.
So do you need to lift heavier to be stronger then?
Do you need to lift heavier to be stronger? Well, in a simple way, yes, 100%. But once again, it's relative, as strength is relative. So you could be trying to get strong for a specific task. So let's just say it's hanging off of a bar for longer. It's something for rock climbing. You don't necessarily need to lift heavier in order to do that. You just need to increase the length of time that you're doing something, or it's more specific to the sport or to the activity. But in terms of total strength on an object or on external weights, not just calisthenics or body weight training, 100% you need to lift heavier in order to get stronger. There's no other way around that. If you're constantly doing the same weights over and over, like you're not just suddenly going to be able to do 30 pounds when you're doing 15 the previous week, and it's not just going to feel easier all of a sudden. So that's why I usually give people rep ranges. So we talked a little bit earlier about reps and sets. So like, doing sets of like, 15 or 12. I like to give people a rep range. So say it's 6 to 10 reps, and the first set I do it, I get 10, it feels easy. I'm then going to go up. I'm going to do maybe I get 8 on the next set and I jump 10 pounds, right? That's right in the middle of the rep range. That's a pretty good weight to be using. I could then go up again on the last set, maybe I only get 6. That still counts though, because it's within the rep range, and that kind of gives us a bit of guidance on what weights I should actually be using. I would prefer that clients use the weights that they were doing for 8 and 6 reps as opposed to 10. 10 could be a good warm-up weight. Maybe they do a warm-up set and then they get into the actual working sets, but you want to be challenging yourself, and we need to challenge ourselves in order to change. So in a roundabout way, yes, 100%. If you're looking to get stronger, you do need to lift heavier weights. But like I said, a little bit of nuance there is that depends what you're trying to get strong at and for, because you also have body weight exercises or different types of strength that might not be directly related to how much weight you lift in the gym.
So how long does it take to kind of see results when you're trying to get back into the gym?
Okay, great question. When you're talking about seeing results, I think a lot of people are talking about like losing body fat, building muscle mass, seeing those large physical changes. And there's a lot of background stuff that goes into seeing those changes. And I think that's where people can become discouraged. So I usually tell people that like to see a noticeable difference, if you're doing a lot of things right, 3 months is a really good time to start seeing some of those changes. But most people really kind of underestimate how long it's going to take, and you're going to need like at least a couple hard years of training to really see usually the physique that you want to see, unless you have really good genetics and everything's perfect, because you need to keep in mind that most people aren't, the gym isn't their whole life. They're not training perfectly, they're not eating perfectly, they're not recovering perfectly. So that automatically means it's going to take longer. So most people's gym goals will actually take a lot longer for them than they want. And it's not what everybody wants to hear, but it is true. So ideally, I tell people like give it 3 months of hard work and dedication. You will see a lot of physical changes, but likely your dream body, your dream goals, it's going to take you much, much longer, at least 1 to 2 years to start to see that come to fruition. My little, mental kind of experiment or thing I always tell to my clients is, if you were to go up to the fittest person in your gym today and ask them how long they've been working out for, I guarantee you it is longer than 5 years. It's probably gonna be, I've been working out for 10 years, 4 days a week, I eat a healthy, clean diet, I go to bed at 9 p.m., I avoid alcohol. It's not always the case, but 9 out of 10 times I've talked to so many people in the gyms that I used to manage and with my clients that is generally the case, where people have built a lifestyle around it and it's something that they do every single week for weeks and weeks on end, and then for years on end. So give yourself at least 3 months to get into it. It's going to take at least 6 to 12 months to build that habit, but it is a lifestyle that we're building. So it's not something that you want to just do and then quit.
What's the best way for the folks that are trying to lose body fat?
Okay, yeah, so losing body fat, at the end of the day, you'll hear a lot of this online of, it is a basic equation of, calories in, calories out. But there is a lot of lifestyle pieces that I think people miss when it comes to losing body fat. And a lot of that has to do with recovery. So we talk about, increased cortisol, which comes from increased stress or lack of sleep. Those are some of the 2 things I like to talk about in the beginning is like, how are you managing your stress? How are you sleeping? Because that is really going to determine, how you show up for your workouts, how you show up for your nutrition, because lack of sleep or high stress is going to also throw off our ghrelin and leptin, which are our hunger hormones. So it's going to make us, crave more food and eat differently. So that is going to be one of the first things I want to address with people is if we're trying to lose fat, especially long term, right? Yes, we can follow a caloric deficit. Yes, we can lose body fat by eating less food, but in the long term, how do we actually make this a lifestyle piece, right? And it comes down to stress management, it comes down to rectifying our sleep, starting to recover better, and also then make the better choices when it comes to eating nutrient-dense whole foods versus things that are highly processed and high calorie, right? We talk about, high volume, meaning takes up a lot of space, and low calorie foods, so things like vegetables, fruits, meats, per square centimeter or per cubic inch of those foods, they're going to be less calories, more nutrients, and they're going to take up more space in our stomach than something like, say, an Oreo, which most of us could dummy 3 sleeves of Oreos no problem. They don't take up very much space in the stomach. They're very quickly digested, and they're going to boost our insulin a ton, and we're not really going to feel full after we finish eating that, but they are high in calorie, and because they're sweet, salty, etc., they're hard to stop eating. They actually, we feel like we need to eat more of them because they're highly palatable and they're engineered that way. So when it comes to fat loss, yes, the number one way is to follow a caloric deficit and focus on higher protein, higher nutrient dense foods. That's always going to be the case. And then increasing our overall activity level. That could even just be as simple as increasing your steps by a couple thousand steps a day to start. Obviously, you hear a lot of people talk about getting 10,000 steps a day. That's really because, in our modern society, we're very not active, so we're very sedentary. A lot of us work desk-based jobs, and we need a higher movement level overall to help boost metabolism and burn off some of the energy that we have stored in our body. Overall, that's really what it comes down to is once again, the lifestyle, looking at stress, looking at sleep, looking at, obviously calories and macros is going to be an aspect of that too. It is every single time when it comes to fat loss. What doesn't get measured doesn't get managed, so we need to be actively looking at those things. And then obviously we need to be also increasing our overall activity level and lifting weights to build muscle mass, which will also help with things like insulin resistance, etc. So that is how to lose body fat in a nutshell.
Sounds super connected. All of it.
No, they're definitely all connected in a very meaningful way, and I think that now that we're getting farther and farther into the science, people are realizing how important stress management and sleep are. I would actually argue that some of that is more important than your nutrition and your exercise when it comes to long-term health. So yeah, definitely super important to be taking into account all of those buckets.
Right. So you had mentioned like when someone comes to first see you as a potential client, one of the big things you're looking for first is like, again, like what's their sleep, stress, how often are they moving around, what's their food intake like, and then what's the quality of food that they're eating as well. What's like the most, I guess, like common thing that people are missing out of those things when they first see you?
For sure. I would say protein. Protein and sleep are going to be the two biggest ones, where I'm constantly telling people you need to either sleep more or eat more protein. And specifically, if we talk about nutrition, protein is going to be that one that is just consistently sort of missing the mark. A lot of females don't eat enough protein, a lot of men don't eat enough protein. So protein is one of those things that I'm constantly telling people to eat more of. There's actually a video on the channel about how to eat more protein if you guys want to check that out. I will card it up top. But when it comes to protein, it's going to do a couple of things for us, right? A, it's going to keep us satiated, it's going to keep us feeling fuller for longer. B, it's going to help boost metabolism because there is a thermogenic effect of digesting protein. It's also going to help to, limit the amount of carbohydrates that dump into our system at once. So it helps with insulin release, as well as it gives us all the building blocks for muscle. So proteins are made of amino acids, which are the building blocks of muscle. And we want to have a high volume of amino acids in our system in order to be able to recover and build muscle effectively. So eating protein is definitely a huge benefit. You'll hear online a lot like, hey, eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, which definitely works for most people. So like if you had a 120-pound woman, yeah, 100%, eat 120 grams of protein. It's pretty easy. Where it gets a little different and a little more dicey is like when you're working with heavier clients. Like I have had clients that are 350 or 400 pounds. Trust me, they're not eating 400 grams of protein. And if they are, like, kudos to them. I just don't see it happening. So you kind of want to focus then on like whatever your goal weight is. Say I want it to be 225 pounds. I might shoot for 225 grams of protein if I was above that, and that would be more than enough to support my needs and my fat loss goals.
A lot of people ask about whether or not they absolutely need to use protein shakes then.
Oh, okay, yeah. Do you need to have like a protein shake or supplements or powders? Yeah, the short answer is no, you don't. But once again, there's a bit of nuance here because it does make it a lot easier to get your protein in with a supplement because it's one scoop is 25 grams. That being said, I still prefer my clients to focus on real foods first. So focusing on things like lean meats and other quality protein sources is going to be the #1 way to get your protein in. And then, like it said, protein powder is a supplement and or a meal replacement, right? It's not meant to be your go-to, but if you're a heavier guy, so like for me, I weigh almost 250 pounds, yes, I'm gonna use a protein supplement because it really helps me to more easily get in the quantity of protein that I wanna get in a day, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. So, and then per serving, like it's a pretty cost-effective way to get your protein in as well. So overall, I would say no, it's not required. I would never peddle and push expensive supplements onto my clients when they didn't need them. But if someone was struggling to get in their daily protein requirements and that helped them 100%, I think it's definitely something that you can use as a tool in your toolbox to hit your goals.
What do you suggest for the people that are like they plateau while they're working out? What should they do?
So like what should you do if you hit a plateau?
Yeah.
Okay, well, plateaus come in various forms. Like it could be a plateau on size, it could be a plateau on strength. I think most times when people are saying like they hit a plateau, it's because like they just can't push past a certain amount of weight in the gym, or they're not getting stronger, or they're not seeing any sort of progress. And what I always say is you need to reevaluate how consistent you've been. So have you been getting all your workouts in? Have you actually been showing up at the gym and doing what the program is requiring of you, right? So are you doing your 3 or 4 days a week in the gym minimum? Are you doing 5 or 6 days a week? If you have a program and you're supposed to be following it, try to be ticking off all those boxes. The second thing I look at is intensity and actually how hard you're pushing yourself in those workouts, and have you been progressing yourself, right? People fall into the trap all the time of just showing up again and again and again in the gym, and they're just doing the same 15-pound dumbbells or the same 20-pound dumbbells. They're not actually pushing the weights up. They're not using a rep range, right? They're just doing 10, 10, 10, but they didn't actually try to push themselves. If they did, they might have got only 8 or 6, but that's okay because at least you're moving forward and you're pushing your body a little bit harder, right? And I think that's where most people get stuck, is they just get complacent. They get used to a certain zone of hard work, and they forget what it actually means to work hard or to push themselves outside of their comfort zone. And that is usually where they see the lack of progress, and or like I said previously, consistency. And that could be consistency with the workouts, consistency with the nutrition and the diet, consistency with cardiovascular work, or consistency with just recovering properly and like actually working on your sleep and your stress. Because if all those things are not in line, then you can't really have an argument for, hey, I'm not seeing progress, if you didn't do all the things you were supposed to do in order to achieve those goals.
How does someone stay motivated then?
It's a great question. How does somebody stay motivated? Well, the short answer is you don't, right? Motivation is not something that you keep doing. Motivation is something that comes and goes. I always show it kind of like a sine wave, right? You're gonna have peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. There's times where you're like, yeah, I'm revved up. I wanna go to the gym. I feel good. I feel amazing today. My workouts are going well. My diet's going well. Like, life's great. There's other times where life sucks, right? And you don't want to go to the gym, you don't feel good, you don't even really want to put in the energy or the effort to do something. But that's where building habits and building systems comes into play, because it's not about who can be the most motivated, the most disciplined, it's who can stick to their plan and their system the best, right? Just keep showing up, because there's going to be days where you feel great, there's going to be days where you don't feel great, and it should just become something where it's like, you brush your teeth in the morning, you go to the gym. It's the same thing. There's no negotiating doing it. It's just a part of your health routine. It's a part of like how you keep your body moving and feeling good and mobile and feeling you know, vitality moving forward, especially as you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. You know, that's one of the first things people notice when they come to me. It's like the first like month of training, they're like, wow, I feel so much more energy. I feel so much better during the day now that I'm moving more often. And they'll start to notice if they took like a week off, like, holy shit, I don't feel actually as good as when I was working out. And that's the first thing I point them towards, is like, hey, like, remember what this is doing for you. Remember why you started. Remember what your long-term goals are. And, you know, remember that this is actually something that's going to benefit you, even if you don't feel like doing it in the moment, right? So that's kind of the roundabout answer there, is their motivation comes and goes. So you're not going to stay motivated. Nobody stays motivated, but you can build a really strong habits and strong systems around what your goals are and what your aspirations are. And the thing I always bring people back to too is remember your why. Remember why you decided to step foot in the gym in the first place. Remember why, you know, you hired a trainer or started this journey, because that's actually what's going to be, you know, usually more motivating for you to even show up and go again, is remembering how you felt before. So that's my answer on motivation.
What's like one of the biggest mistakes you see people make that are just starting out at the gym or working out?
Biggest mistakes. Yeah, I mean, there's so many mistakes, and that's totally normal. Like, I don't want to say that mistakes are bad, because mistakes are how you learn. My biggest thing with people is always like, make sure you're doing it safely, right? If I see somebody in the gym, they're doing a movement wrong, there's something that's wrong, but it's still within the realm of safety where it's not gonna hurt them. And then there's something that's wrong where it's unsafe and it's potentially harmful. So I would say though, like, biggest thing in the beginning is don't go too hard too fast, meaning like build yourself up at a pace that you can manage and build momentum so that you don't burn out. And that comes to the workouts, that comes to nutrition, that comes to building any sort of habit. If we just try to go 0 to 100, generally it doesn't always work out well, right? It's like trying to quit smoking cold turkey. There has to be a bit of a system in place, a bit of a pathway to follow where you build momentum, right? So I've had people start from 1 day a week in the gym or 2 days a week. And once they get used to that, they're like, hey, I'm doing it now, I'm building it. And then they're 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And it feels like they're actually snowballing, where it's starting to build. And then maybe they start working on some nutrition habits. They start working on, you know, hey, I'm eating more protein, I'm drinking more water. Now I'm breaking out the scale, I'm starting to weigh things. Maybe that's at month 2 or 3, right? Like it's not all like I do this all in 1 day. I'm starting to weigh my food, do 6 days a week in the gym, and like overhaul my entire life in 1 day. It's never happened that way. Focus on maybe either the nutrition first, or focusing on showing up to the gym first, build a few of those skills and habits, start to get the ball rolling, then start to layer those things up, right? Because otherwise you're gonna burn out, you're gonna quit. I've seen it so many times. People start the gym and they quit after 2-3 months because it's just too overwhelming or it's too intense. And keep in mind, we are trying to build a lifestyle. I keep saying the word lifestyle, but that is what this is. This is not a quick fix. This is not a overnight success story. This is a lifestyle, right? When I'm talking to somebody that is 400 pounds, I'm not saying, hey, we're gonna lose 100 pounds in a month. No. This is like fundamental lifestyle shifts that we are changing, things that you have done for years that we need to repattern, things that you have done for years that have not been serving you and are not going to serve the new version of you moving forward. So that's not gonna happen tonight, it's not gonna happen in a week, it's not gonna happen in a month. It's gonna happen over the course of months and months and months. And like I said earlier in the video, a lot of times for people, it actually takes years to get them where they actually wanna be.
Those are the questions I have for you based on what people have been asking. But I guess, you know, if they have any other ones, where should they leave them?
The comments, for sure. So yeah, any other questions that you have from this video, or even if you disagree with something and you wanna maybe have a bit of a conversation about it, leave it in the comments down below. I do answer every single comment. I wanna start that dialogue with you guys, and I wanna make content for you guys that is in line with what you guys wanna see, right? So that's what I wanna do, is just have you guys comment down below anything that you guys wanna see, any questions that you have. We can address those in a future video, and would love to help you guys out with that. So, and if you enjoyed the video, also make sure to like it, as it really helps us out. It really helps us push this video out to more people that need to see it, and subscribe to the channel, because we do release more videos like this every single month. So would love to have you guys still around. Once again, this is Coach Judah from Manzolo Strength. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got value out of it, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.